Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Lavonne here. I need some kind of jingle to go with my intro because I feel like it's missing something, but I don't quite know. So please comment down below if you've got an idea of what channel jingle we could have for this channel. I hope you've been enjoying the content so far. The vloggy, December-y, Christmassy content was so fun to film, edit, do voiceovers for. But now we're in the new year, we've got some more serious discussions to have. So we're back to our little sit down, more informative type videos. We still do have the fun stuff in the pipeline. We still have vlogs in the pipeline and stuff like that. But I do have some videos that I wanted to get out there. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a postpartum update. This is a video that I watched a lot when I first gave birth. I watched a lot of pregnancy updates when I was still pregnant, and I watched a lot of postpartum updates because I think it's very, very encouraging when you're at a certain stage postpartum to see where other women are relative to your journey. Not in a way of comparison, but in a way of understanding yourself, understanding your journey, and hopefully being a bit more patient with yourself and your own recovery, especially if you've had some kind of birth trauma. It can feel very discouraging when you're at a certain stage postpartum and you feel like you're not doing what everybody else is doing. Do you know what I mean? So I thought I would make this video, which is a little postpartum update where I share things that I've learned so far, how I'm doing, how things are going with the baby, and I'm going to answer some questions as well that I got off of the internet that are typical questions that people would want to know about this stage postpartum. So for context, I am now 6 months postpartum at the time of filming this, which is wild to even say that I have been a mother for half the year. My baby is half a year old. Oh my goodness, just so wild because it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but at the same time it feels like it's been forever. I don't know how to explain it, but it's so amazing. And a bit of context for my birth experience: I gave birth to my sweet baby girl at 41 weeks, and I sustained a 3rd-degree perineal tear during my delivery, which, well, we're gonna get to that, the recovery part of that as well. It is my first baby. I'm a first-time mom as well, so this is from my own personal experience. I always say this in any videos that are surrounding birth, pregnancy, motherhood. My experience is personal to me. It does not mean your experience will be exactly the same. This is more so informative and just an encouragement for anyone who may be in the same stage and may have had a similar experience, who may be struggling with where they're at right now. Take what you love, leave what you don't. I got this phrase from this lady that I watch on YouTube called Janet. I'll put her YouTube up here. She's so awesome. But yeah, take what you love, leave what you don't. It's absolutely fine. And I hope you enjoy this 6 month postpartum update. But where to begin? Let's start with recovery from the 3rd-degree tear. I think that's a good it's a good baseline. It's a good place to start. And for people that will probably be searching for a video like this, you probably want to know how recovery has been and how recovery feels 6 months postpartum. And I want to put a disclaimer to say not everyone's recovery is the same, but also the timeline that you may be given in the hospital in regards to your recovery, or that you may read about online, is normally for births that had no complications. So I remember when I gave birth and I was reading up on like, what's the typical recovery period? And it was like, oh yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, you would have recovered, your stitches would have dissolved, blah, 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 blah. When I was 4 to 6 week postpartum, I was still barely holding on. And now I am 6 months postpartum and I am still nowhere near back to my pre-pregnancy or pre-birth self in regards to recovery. I don't even know where these numbers come from because I don't understand. Granted, there are some things about my specific experience that may have led to my recovery being a little bit slower. I had some delays with getting appointments, being seen, getting like support with a physiotherapist and stuff like that. So that may have played a role in recovery being a little bit slow. But honestly, I I'm still pretty much struggling, I have to be honest, in terms of my recovery. I do feel a lot more capable. There's definitely things that I can do. Like I can walk for longer distances, I can clean, I can, look after my baby, I can carry stuff, but I'm still very much limited in my mobility. I can't carry things that are too heavy. I can't walk for prolonged periods of time. I can't do things that put too much strain on my pelvic floor. I still do experience pain here and there, actually, which is wild because I didn't think this would be a thing at 6 months postpartum. And I still do experience like pain in my back because I did have to get a spinal post birth so that they could repair the tear. And I still get a lot of pain in my back, especially my lower back, as a result of that spinal. Some of these things, though, I think post pregnancy things or recovery things, but it's all a blur, so I can't tell what is postpartum thing and what is the post-pregnancy thing. So yeah, I am still very much recovering. I'm taking things easy. I had to slow down when it came to things like exercise because I was experiencing a lot of pain, and I had to just slow down in a lot of ways. Yeah, I had to slow down in a lot of ways whilst I was recovering, which emotionally was really, really challenging. I have to be honest. I had a conversation with one of my aunties the other day, and I was sharing with her that I didn't think at 6 months postpartum I would still be in this stage of recovery. And that really discouraged me because I thought, is it me? Have I done something wrong to derail my recovery? Am I just, the 1%, like there's always a percentage of people that take a bit longer to heal. And I was very discouraged, actually, I have to be honest, because I didn't think in my head from those numbers that I read, I was like, well, 4 to 6 weeks, and by 6 months, I'll definitely be fine. And girl, that is not the case. So for anyone who may be 6 months postpartum with a similar birth experience to mine, don't be discouraged. It really genuinely does take time. When I've done further research, this type of injury can genuinely take 6 to 12 months to heal, sometimes even longer. And I don't say that to scare you, but I say that to encourage you. So when you get to the 6 month mark and you are still feeling pain or you are still struggling in certain areas, you don't think it's you. Everyone's recovery is different. You may be on the top end of that spectrum. You may be on the lower end of that spectrum. You may feel great at 6 months, at 4 months. But if you don't be discouraged. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And like I said, there are some things that I am able to do now that I definitely couldn't do at 6 weeks postpartum. And that helps because I can see that we are getting there, but slowly but surely, slow and steady wins the race. That is an update on recovery. Emotionally, wow. I was reading something yesterday that was talking about how at 6 months postpartum, you have another dip or another crash in your hormones, which for some people, unfortunately, is where their postpartum depression starts to creep in, right? And the past few weeks, I've definitely felt a lot more emotional than usual and a lot more vulnerable, I would say. And I can definitely feel that dip in hormones. And it was a little bit hard to navigate because, pregnancy, postpartum, all of it is just such it's a hormonal cocktail. And there's always that navigation of your emotions. But I think 6 months postpartum, this specific stage for me has been the most emotional because I think I was putting a bit of pressure on myself to be at a certain stage by this point, which I'm not. And I think that exacerbated the emotional turmoil that I was experiencing, that I probably would have experienced anyway, but I'm experiencing it a lot more now because I just was putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I want to encourage you, if you are postpartum, whatever stage you may be, don't put pressure on yourself. Postpartum recovery is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You don't have to get back to anything at a certain time frame. Do what works for you. Go with your body, go with how you feel, go with your gut. If you're not sure about something doesn't feel right, ask for help, seek professional counsel. And if you're not sure about something, research it, read about it. There is so much research on postpartum that is not as commercially available or commercially known, but it's there. And if you really need to, girl, go read. Emotionally, like, it's been a lot because I've just put a lot of pressure on myself, but I'm trying to ease off of that now. And I think I have felt a lot better, and I'm sharing a lot more with my community about how I feel. So I speak a lot with my husband, my sister, who is 3 months ahead of me in terms of her postpartum, because she had a baby 3 months before me. So I talk a lot with her about certain things, and that really, really helps. And I would always encourage any postpartum mom, have some kind of mom friend that you can talk to, somebody who's also a mom, ideally a more recent mom, because there's certain things that, if I talk to my auntie who had the last baby like 30 years ago, it's not going to be applicable to you right now, so find someone who you can relate to. And I hope for someone who doesn't have that, I hope my videos can be that for you. But if you do have someone within your village that has had a baby, even if you're not that close with them, this is the season to make mom friends, because you definitely need people that have walked the journey to help you sometimes. Like certain times when I'm feeling low about something, or feeling like I'm not doing very well in a certain area, I speak to my sister, and then she's like, oh yeah girl, me too. Or when I'm struggling with a certain developmental milestone with the baby, she's like, oh yeah girl, I went through that too, so it really, really does help. But make sure you ask for help if you need it. Confide in somebody if it's getting a lot emotionally for you. Don't dwell in that place of emotional hardship, because it doesn't help your mental health, and it doesn't help your postpartum recovery. I will talk a little bit about how it's been with the baby and motherhood in general. I am still really very much loving motherhood. I think at this stage postpartum, it has come with a new set of challenges. I think the last time I filmed anything to do with motherhood, I was like 3 months postpartum. My baby was sleeping through the night. I was getting a lot of rest. She was napping a lot during the day. We then went through the 4-month sleep regression, and it was at the cusp of 4 months, because it was literally a week before she turned 5 months. And when I tell you that spun me differently, that shifted my whole experience. And it reminds me of this tweet that I saw that says, mothers with babies that sleep through the night are living a completely different life to mothers whose babies are not sleeping through the night. I did not get that until my baby was not sleeping through the night, because whoa, the sleep deprivation is wild. And I didn't really experience that a lot in the newborn stage, because when my mom and my mother-in-law were here, they used to do the night shift with the baby. So I used to really sleep for the most part, except for when I needed to feed or pump, but then I could just go back to sleep. And then by like 6 weeks postpartum, she was sleeping through the night. It's literally only up until that 5-month mark I said, oh yeah, no, we were not living the same life, guys. And I remember speaking to my sister about it, saying, girl, is this what you've been experiencing? She was like, girl, yeah. That really was a really shifting season for me. And I had to re-navigate my position as a mom, because I now had to show up with no sleep. No matter how much we woke up the night before, the day's the day, and you still have to show up. And I think that's taught me a lot. This season of motherhood has taught me a lot about showing up regardless and putting your best foot forward regardless. Because for my baby, like, she doesn't know any better, so I can't come with, last night's tiredness and be grumpy. I still have to give her the love, the joy, the care that she deserves. And I think that has really stretched me as a person, because I don't think it's something I've ever experienced. That was challenging, but amazing. I think I needed to learn that. I needed to learn how to function with less sleep, and I needed to learn how to keep showing up even when the circumstances are not the most ideal, But other than that, I've really enjoyed her growing. With the sleep regression come a lot of developmental milestones. So she started laughing more, smiling more, grabbing things more, recognizing faces and voices more, and she's just growing into herself more, which is so special to experience and to watch and to be a part of. I honestly think it's one of the biggest privileges to get to watch a little human grow up, whether that's your baby, whether that's your niece, nephew, like someone that you're close to. It's so wonderful. Me and my husband were laughing about it today, because he walked into the room when she just woke up from a nap, and her smile, like, she just beamed up so much, and he was just like, I love that smile that she gives when she first sees you. And I was like, me too. So as much as the sleep was tough, everything else around it was so beautiful and so special. And I think it definitely made things better. So a physical update, I haven't really been intentionally trying to get back to my pre-pregnancy weight postpartum, because I am exclusively breastfeeding. it's very, very important that I eat enough to maintain my milk supply. And that has been a bigger priority for me than going back down to my pre-pregnancy weight. However, I am now at a stage where I know I can safely, gradually start losing the weight whilst maintaining my milk supply, because my baby is starting solid. So she's going to be having less and less milk. And it's one of like my goals for the new year. And it's not necessarily about snapping back to my pre-pregnancy weight, but it's about getting back to a healthier weight, because girl, the extra kilos, I definitely feel them. I feel them in my joints. I feel them in my body. It's just harder carrying a lot more weight. And I am small in terms of frame. So I think what could be a few kilograms on somebody else does not work the same on a smaller frame. And so I definitely do want to start shedding a little bit of that baby weight off. In the same breath though, this is another thing I was reading about postpartum, that because of all the hormonal changes, sometimes it may not happen as quickly as you think or the way that it happened before, and it may take a couple of years for everything to balance out enough for you to lose that weight. So I'm not putting an immense amount of pressure, but I do want to implement some intentional lifestyle practices to help with my health, which I think will just naturally, hopefully, lead to a bit of weight loss. But slow and steady wins the race. I'm not trying any crash diets. I'm not, running 1,000 hours on the treadmill. That is not going to work for me. So that is not what I'm doing. But I will hopefully have a better update at like 9 months postpartum regarding that, because now I'm starting to think about it and intentionally work on that. And I might do a video on that actually, depending on how things go. Actually, I think I'll do a video on it regardless if it's working or if it's not working, just to encourage the mommies. It is okay. Like, we've done an amazing thing. We've grown a whole human, birthed a whole human, looked after said human. It's such a miracle that our bodies are able to do that listen, take your time. I'm taking my time, but at the same time, I do want to look a bit more snatched, get my pink back, as the girlies would say. Relationships. Before having a baby, one of the things that really scared me was the impact of having a baby on my other relationships. So my relationship with my husband, with my friends, with my family, because I knew it would require so much of my time that I would not necessarily be able to give as much of myself to my other relationships. And it scared me a lot, but I think God is so merciful, because my village has been amazing. I've not felt that pressure from anyone in my circle of like, oh, you don't call enough, or you don't text enough, or you don't get back to us quickly enough. Everyone is always like, oh, you've got a baby, like if you reply 2 days late, it is what it is. And this is not to say like I want to be complacent in that manner of life, but it's to say it was something that was really, really scary for me, because I value relationships so much. But it has taught me a lot about being surrounded by people that genuinely love you, genuinely care about you, genuinely want the best for you, that they're not going to penalize you as you're in a transition season. They will, in fact, look for ways to support you. How can I support you in this season? Is it easier if I call you? Is text, is voice notes easier? My friends came to visit me a few weeks ago, and one of the things they did, and this really touched my heart, they obviously came to see me, came to see the baby. They brought some stuff for the baby, but they bought gifts for me as well. And they were like, you have done such an amazing thing and you need to look after yourself. And I honestly nearly cried, because I was just like, wow, like no one ever thinks about the transition that the mom has gone through. But they did that, and they came and they cooked for me and my family. They cleaned, make sure everything was done, and they went back, and it was a long travel, by the way. And I remember thinking, what a blessing, because for some of them, I hadn't even spoken to them in months, to be honest with you, like on the phone or anything like that. Like, we were texting here and there, but it was so inconsistent. But they were so understanding of the season that they were like, no, we will meet you where you are, and we don't expect anything more or less. So if anyone's listening to this and you are a villager of someone who's just had a baby, I honestly would encourage you to support them in however ways they need. Avail yourself. People always ask me like, oh, what's like something you can do for someone who's postpartum? Bring a meal. Like, just take like a few trays of food. When you're making like a stew, make an extra batch of stew, drop it off for them, so that they just have one less thing to think about. Go and visit them, but say, you know what do you need? Like, what needs cleaning? Do you want me to clean your bathroom? Because let me tell you that is something that always needs a clean. but sometimes you might not have time for that. But if someone who's in your village avails themselves to do that, to clean your bathroom, to do the dishes, to cook a meal for you, to say, you know, do you want me to just watch the baby while you take a shower, for example? A lot of the times, the baby itself is never the hard thing. It's everything else. It's getting keeping the house in order, doing the food, doing the laundry, doing the chores, maintaining relationships. So if in any way you can step in to support your postpartum friend by doing anything else that will take a load off of their plate, do it. Honestly, now that I've had a baby, I can't wait for my friends to have kids so I can show up for them in the way that I know I would have needed. Food is a top one. Honestly, no matter what stage your friend is postpartum, trust me, drop off a meal for them, they will cry because it makes such a difference. Food and like laundry and cleaning, it's so awesome. My village has been awesome. They've been amazing, and that's really, really helped me because I don't feel that strain in my relationships or the pressure as well to be the one to like hold them together. And I think also like motherhood has challenged me to be more open in my communication. When I'm struggling with certain things, I share them more openly, like with my husband, for example, or with my sisters, with my friends. And that really has enriched a lot of my relationships and caused there to be a lot more depth, which is so wonderful. Genuinely, overall, 6 months postpartum, I feel pretty good. I don't feel like my 100%, definitely not my optimum, but I feel okay. I feel encouraged to keep going, to keep doing better. I've got some goals in place. I've got some appointments to support like my healing and my recovery. Things with the baby are going awesome. We are coming out of a sleep regression by the grace of God. So we'll be sleeping again, which is so wonderful. But we have learned to survive on less sleep and not be a grumpy girl all day, which is amazing. And I'm just really, really loving the stage, the developmental stage that my baby is at, and I'm still just loving motherhood. I'm so happy. It's so special. It's so wonderful. It's something I've always wanted, and I'm really, really enjoying it and learning a lot from it. It is hard. Like when people say it's hard, they're not lying. Like it's not easy. Not every day is like easy breezy, but it's rewarding and it's worth it, and it's so wonderful. But I hope you picked up a few things that may be relevant to you, or picked up a few things that you can do for your postpartum friend who may need support and you're not sure what kind of support to give them at this stage of their postpartum. Comment down below actually if you have had a baby, how you found this stage of postpartum, 6 months postpartum specifically, or if you're in a different stage, how you're finding that stage of postpartum, or if you have any questions about supporting your postpartum friends, leave them all down below, or any questions about a 3rd degree tear. I may do a separate video if there is a need for that. Let me know in the comments down below, but I don't want to just make it if there's no need. But if you know there is a demand for it and people want to know more, please let me know in the comments down below and I will try and get on that as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll probably do an update like this again in a few months, like at 9 months postpartum, and then at a year postpartum might be my last one. But I hope this was helpful, this was informative, or just a bit, you know, just a bit of fun if you're just here for the vibes. But thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, actually, because some of you will be watching but not subscribing. So please subscribe. It really, really helps the channel and it helps grow our community. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.